The following is a presentation of the BellyUpSports Media Network.
The ball sends it over to Edward Robles. Goal! Insert name FC! Let's go! Insert name FC!
What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, host of the Insert Name FC podcast, a member of the BellyUpSports Media Network. You can find us on all things podcasting. Just look us up at Insert Name FC, and you will find us wherever you get your podcast fix from. You can find us also in video form. We break down these episodes in shorter videos. Easier to digest in case you guys aren't able to listen to the full episode. We take snippets from our discussions and we cut them down into some more digestible videos. We put them on YouTube. So check us out at Insert Name FC on YouTube. We also have the full audio version of the podcast also available on YouTube as well. And then of course you can also find us on GolzTV, GOZ.TV. Which is a great streaming platform if you guys are looking for soccer content made here in the good old US of A, even though we also have some outside the US market, content creators also available there as well. So go ahead and check us out over there. All right. So this episode 183, we are back. Obviously the first week of matches has happened over for Ligue 1, Serie A, La Liga, and the English Premier League. So we're going to go back to our regular scheduling program, new episodes every Friday, barring any breaks. But we'll be back to regular schedule programming this week. We have overreactions, headlines, and the Bundesliga preview. Bundesliga kicks off this weekend, so we'll have Kelcey Coin of High Low Sports. Also a good friend of ours for a long time, going all the way back to our Unhinged Sports days. He is coming on the episode to talk headlines, overreactions, and of course preview the Bundesliga season. So I'm excited to have that discussion. Very good discussion with me and Kelcey. Also, we had some connection issues with Kelcey. We will be we'll edit it, probably make the editing process a little bit longer than usual, but it will be helpful for the length of the episode. Then announce players of the week, give you guys some games to look forward to this coming weekend. Leagues Cup should be over pretty soon, so MLS and Liga MX are back in full swing as well. And that's pretty much the episode, so get ready for that. Like I said, we're back to our scheduled programming, so look very much forward to it. So without further ado, let's kick back, relax, enjoy episode 183. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and then you'll go right into Kelcey Coin and myself talking over reactions.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of BellyUpSports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
All right, guys, make sure you guys follow Insert Name FC on all things social media, Instagram and the X at Insert Name FC, and on the TikTok, because we do post reels from these recordings on our TikTok as well as reels. So check us out on TikTok at insert.name.fc. I feel like I've gotten a lot better at them. I've been taught myself in some sense to do all that. So that's impressive with what I know. So I'm very technically actually not great, but here we are. But of course, make sure you guys check us out. Also check out Belly Up Sports at Belly Up Sports and at Belly Up Media, where you can find content all across from all our great platforms. Speaking of the great content over at Belly Up, a face you might see pretty often there, not only in his own podcast, but in multiple podcasts. Obviously, still kind of recovering from being in Canton, Ohio for the Fantasy Football Expo. Kelcey Coyne of High Low Sports and the visionary for our marketing team.
Yeah, we'll call it that. We'll call it the visionary position. No, I appreciate it. I'm glad always every time you come on. I still feel like I'm your super sub, even though I don't come on as much as I did before, but I'm still going to hold tight to that title until somebody rips it from my hands. But no, I honestly, you still do better TikTok reels and everything, all those shorts than I do. I still can't get them out to save my life. I know DJ pretty much handles all of ours, so I still suck at it. So you're doing a lot better than me.
I appreciate that. Before we get into this all this football talk, man, we'll talk about the other football. How was the football expo over there in Canton, Ohio?
Yeah, it was good. This year was bigger than last year. No surprise, I guess. Continues to grow bigger and bigger every year. We had a few more people come out. I mean, Jared from the Corner Booth Pod. He was there. We also have the guys from what was formerly known as Smat Talk Cleveland on the Belly Up Sports Network, Jacob and Matt, who are now renamed as the Jockstrap Sports Podcast. And obviously DJ was there, Mike, Blaine. It was a great time. We got to meet up with a bunch of other folks we'd met previous, as well as some new faces. I got to run into Marcus Grant from the NFL Network Fantasy Football program, Fantasy Football Live, one of their lead analysts. You guys have never seen Marcus Grant, obviously, one of the lead fantasy football guys. He had a great conversation with DJ. Unfortunately, though, this is the only bad thing that happened. Well, I guess there was two. We lost in the championship game for flag football. And second, we forgot to hit record on the audio for all of the interviews. We have video, tons of video. No audio with any of it. So I've been trying to figure out what to do with those for the last week. And still not sure.
I mean, there's always a great reel that can be done. Obviously, no audio, so you might pull some music up there and there.
Yeah.
So might be the plan. Oh, man. No, I've had that feeling, man. That's rough. Actually, it was funny. I was going to do a vlog because I went to the Inter Miami Tigres game. That was in NRG Stadium. Recorded a lot of. I got all the goals from the game, like everything. And I was like, oh man, this video is gonna be cool. I'm like, I've never actually edited a vlog before, and literally as soon as I upload it all to my computer, video is trash.
Yeah,
the quality of the video, from on my phone, the quality looked great, but as soon as I put it into my computer, it was just very staticky, and I was like, this. Oh yeah, this is and I'm like, what's the point of having this stupid iPhone if this is what it's gonna do for me? So,
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is the one time we brought a full camera, full mic setup, full mixer, everything. Just forgot to hit record on the audio. That's the thing that kills me. We had video, we just forgot to actually turn on the actual mixer.
As podcasters, that's the one job as a podcaster.
Yeah. Just need the audio, man. That was it. It still hurts me.
But yeah, man. Fantasy Football Expo, very exciting. Hopefully the goal is to make my appearance next year for next year's Fantasy Football Expo. So I got to make sure to have all my ducks in a row by then. Maybe, hopefully not go. I don't know. My family is not more talking about going to El Salvador more in the winter time when it's a little bit more manageable as far as the heat goes. So there is talks about that. So that might be able to open up an opportunity to take advantage of the summer.
So they haven't announced the date yet, but yeah, that's supposed to be coming soon. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. But I'm hoping to make my appearance with Belly Up. At least my physical appearance.
We need the football guy at the Fantasy Football Expo. Is all I gotta say.
Yeah, I know Jared did a good job as a tight end for you guys. Maybe you guys needed a kicker.
No kicker, but we do need another tight end.
Another tight end. I mean, I was a football equipment manager. I know how to catch a football, so it's not that. So
You couldn't have done any worse than the rest of us.
Oh, okay. Well, good to know. But all right, man. So be on the lookout. Kelcey will figure something out with the video that he's got.
It'll be up this week sometime on Belly Up Sports.
So be ready for that, man. Also, go ahead and check it out. All the content over there from the Fantasy Football Expo. Great partnership, by the way, that you guys got to that Belly Up got to have for the expo as well. So pretty cool for that. Everything's pointing up for Belly Up, man. That's for sure. All right, man. So first week of Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Ligue 1 has completed. Obviously, Bundesliga kicks off this weekend. But what's your overreaction for the first week of football?
Chelsea still sucks. I think that's my overreaction for week one, as is Chelsea is still lost without their sales. That was not good football to watch. That was so bad. Man City, and they were rusty. You could see Man City was rusty. You couldn't tell though with the way they played Chelsea. Chelsea just did not look good. There was no connection between the three lines. It was all around bad for Chelsea.
Oh man,
I hate saying that.
Enzo's first touch was just
so
like the funny thing about sports, and I think it doesn't matter what sport it is, but there's always that one thing that happens when you watch somebody out there and you're just like, I feel like I could have done better.
Yeah.
And obviously we're talking about world-class like athletes. Like Enzo, I mean, this was the summer of Enzo, not for good reasons. But apparently the dude was the captain of Chelsea.
Yeah, okay, that was the other part. I didn't get it. I still don't understand, why is Enzo your captain? And then, by the way, the referee with the ultimate troll job in this game, where it literally is making fun of Enzo for flopping. It's like the 75th minute or something on just an innocuous tackle in the midfield, and Enzo just dives, and the referee started making fun of him, and they cut away from it on the camera because it was so insulting to Enzo. They were just like, we're not going to show this.
Yeah, it's that Chelsea Nico Jackson, if he would have just stayed on side, obviously he would have got a very easy tap in. I think you got what you expected from Man City. You got the Holland crazy tapper that looked like he did too much for a tap in, but he did it anyways.
Holland doing too much for a tap in? No.
Kovacic getting a little revenge, obviously against his former club. But yeah, man, no, yeah. I mean, funny story, not funny story, but there's a TikTok content creator that does a lot of Chelsea content. His name's Young Kippa, and what's funny is he make like, I don't know, I think he just does it for the clicks because I think he knows what he's doing with it, which obviously clearly he's got quite the following. But for him to start off the season just saying, you think we're gonna lose to Man Shitty, and obviously then he goes into a video where he starts screaming like ridiculously. He says a lot of very suggestive things that the team did to them. But anyways, yeah, it's a good year. Football's back. But yeah, Chelsea. Also, the clip of Todd Bowley just walking out after the second goal was scored was
amazing.
Great.
I loved it. I anytime Chelsea flops is a great time for me. By the way, shout out Chelsea's goalkeeper. I don't even know what his name is. I don't even care to know what his name is after that performance, because he literally gifted De Bruyne a ball, and De Bruyne felt so bad for him. He sent a cross out from the other side. I have Erling Haaland wide open in the middle. I could play it to him, but no, I'm going to go dink it around in the corner and then just hit a cross all the way to the other side of the box where nobody's standing, because I feel that bad for you. Yeah.
I mean, unless you have Kevin De Bruyne on your fantasy team.
Yeah, then you feel awful.
You probably don't like that guy right now. No, Chelsea, I think, coming as an Arsenal fan, where I had a season where we started off against just the worst start to the season, where you had Liverpool and Man City all within the first month. It could be, obviously, you got, when you're especially just starting the season, you're trying to get into regular season shape, and you got to go up against the defending champions, a team that's looking at aiming to have a four-peat in the Premier League, which is unheard of. But if they're, like I said, I don't want to pick Man City to win the Premier League, but it's it's weird. This year's weird to the sense where I feel like not a single team is as far as a Premier League standpoint. When I talk about like the big six, right? I don't feel like anybody did anything significantly enough to where I see like a change. You know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like I feel like everybody kind of stuck to the same roster,
or got worse.
Yeah, or got worse.
Like, look at Liverpool. I mean, obviously you lose Klopp. Yes, they still won against Ipswich Town, but it's Ipswich Town. You're not talking a whole lot of impression there. And then, Tottenham? Does Tottenham ever really get better in the offseason? It feels like no. It feels like January is their transfer window, and they don't do anything in the falls or in the summers. So I guess you're counting them as big six. Man United, they came out with some cool jerseys. What did they do in the offseason really to get better? I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot there. But, City, on the other hand, they made efficient moves. They obviously had to lose some people, so that way they got out of the FFP rules. But overall, I feel like City was like, we're going to get a little better while everybody else just stayed average or got worse. And whether that's from the player standpoint or the coaching standpoint, everybody else in the big six got worse. It was crazy. It's crazy to see that in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, Havertz obviously scored a goal. Probably could have gotten a second. But I mean, like even then, like Arsenal's like signing so far has been that Italian defender, which I mean didn't play.
We'll probably won't play until week 3.
So
if we're being honest,
great signing. But no, I like him. I like him. I like what Bologna. He was with Bologna. Obviously now, God knows how Bologna's going to turn out this season because they basically stripped them apart. They even took Juventus took their coach. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think Arsenal got obviously I think as far as chemistry wise, I think it's going to be a good team. It's just like I said in the clip, if till proven differently, it's unfortunately Manchester City's title to lose. And you can't count them out, man. I mean, like last year, they were literally in they had a huge trail from Arsenal and Liverpool, and then comes back and wins the Premier League. So it's just one of those teams that are just inevitable. Pep is inevitable. And so until proven guilty differently, I mean, that's what it's going to be. But I mean, Chelsea, if you're a Chelsea fan, just buckle up, man. This is going to be. I did say this is going to be my team to watch this year was Chelsea, just because of it's just crazy how much they spent, and it's like have they really progressed? And like no, the manager I have really nothing against, but remember this guy just got promoted like yesterday, so and of course he's part of the Pep Guardiola tree, but aside from that, there's nothing really else to really get you like excited about Chelsea potential besides the ridiculous signings. You thought there was going to be some drama because of the whole Enzo Fernandez ordeal with his French teammates, but it seems like I don't know, maybe I don't know what's going on there, but Chelsea's going to be an interesting team, but really rough start for the season for them.
And the one thing I'll say about their coach is I have nothing against their coach, but he, unlike Pep, didn't come into a team that was built for his tactics. Pep walked into Barcelona and, continued down the line of teams that Pep's coached, where he's walked into teams with world-class players. For Chelsea, it's not that case. Chelsea is very much Cole Palmer and everybody else really trying to, piece it together. Enzo is, yes, he's there. Akanji, sorry, not Akanji. Nkunku and things like that. There's pieces, but none of them are used to the same style of play. And that's going to take time. It could take a season. It could take half a season. It could take 2 seasons. My only concern is he doesn't get really a fair shot because he is from a good coaching tree. And the problem with coaching trees is, especially in soccer, is when you get into the world of transferring to a team that's been just trying to find themselves for years, you get a pieced together roster with 3 different styles of players or more, and you're trying to coach them to do it your way, which works because you literally just got beaten by a team who plays your way and has long been that coach's mantra of playing it that way. it's going to be tough. I don't know if Chelsea's patient enough, if Chelsea fans are patient enough. But yeah, that's always a concern, is what you can do with your tactics when you have no players that really play your tactics other than maybe one or two. And that's not good enough for an 11 for sure.
No, yeah. And I mean, obviously, if you're Todd Bowley, man, hit up that Russian, man. Like, just give, sell the team back. I mean, you're at this point, I think you just dipped the value of the club since you bought the team.
Well, and you gave him orange for accent color. What are you doing? Chelsea is not blue and orange. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense to me. Every time I see the Chelsea blue and orange colors on their badge, I'm just like, no. It was always been blue and gold or blue and white and gold. Like, some combination of that. Go back to that. It works for you.
Yeah, it's rough scenes if you're a Chelsea fan, for sure. My overreaction is Serie A on these draws, man. Like, good God, last time I saw, I think everyone was like tied because of all the draws that happened. But I feel like there has been some results now. But obviously AC Milan drew. So did Inter, I believe. But yeah, it's an interesting start to the season. So there are some wins now in the win. 2 victories now. It's Hellas Verona and Lazio sitting on top of the table. So
one of those teams with an impactful 3-0. I still don't get how Hellas Verona pulled it off.
And I mean, there's still a few matches left. I mean, there's 2 matches left to be played. That's going to be played on Monday. But yeah, so right now there's 2 teams that have won and 2 teams that have lost, and the rest have tied. So that is probably one of the most interesting first week table. And well, obviously, you don't look at the tables till like the halfway point of the season, but it was, that was probably the most interesting kickoff to the year to have that many ties. I don't think I've ever seen that many ties to kick off a season. And Serie A, like, I guess it might be a little bit competitive this year. So,
or it's really bad. I don't know which way to take this right now, but yeah, I'm hoping it's really good. I hope that's what it is. I hope there's actually a talent spread here amongst the big clubs, because obviously for so many years there, we had 3 teams on top of the Serie A, which you maybe say 4 with Roma and Totti for a while there. But yeah, I mean, since then, it's really been 2 or 3 every year, Inter and AC, or AC and Juventus, or Inter and Juventus. Those have been really the 3 that you can say rotate back and forth. So hopefully we're going to see some teams step up here. Fiorentina, Parma, Bologna. Hopefully, Atalanta comes back. Obviously, Napoli does not look good under Antonio Conte. But I mean, everybody else, like, hopefully this just means there's a spread of talent, a wealth of talent, especially for fans of American soccer. I mean, we really hope Serie A has a wealth of talent, because we have, 7 players in Serie A right now?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around Giacchini also from Como, so that's another.
Oh, yeah, Como.
Yeah.
Beautiful place on the lake in Como. Good place to have your growth period.
Right. Yeah. Not only that, but you also got Rafael Varane, who I think it just got injured. But anyways, so there's that. But Serie A, great start to the season, guys. Really, really got everybody really excited about the Serie A this year. That is overreactions. Headlines, man. Kick things off. We have some very big announcements as far as club ownership stakes. We're going to start things off with PSG, their newest member of their ownership group, which I believe has an affiliate. There's an American group that came in and bought a percentage of what the Qataris have on PSG already. But one of those names include Kevin Durant. He has purchased a minority stake of PSG. They said the fee is undisclosed. Mind you, the current club value of PSG is like 4.25 euros, at least last time I checked. So it is, huge one. This isn't the first football team that Kevin Durant owns. He also owns the Philadelphia Union and Gotham FC. Only one of them has gotten him a trophy. So
figure that one out if you guys want to.
And hopefully he should be getting another trophy, because obviously with PSG and all the money.
Oh, there's definitely a trophy coming.
Should be.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they don't get a trophy in Serie A, well,
In Ligue 1.
yeah, sorry, Liga. That's there's a problem. They're not getting one in the Champions League, so yeah.
Maybe that's what he
out.
wanted. He's just like, I need a trophy, man. Like, I'm not getting it from the Suns.
Here's a wild thing. So the team, worth 4 point whatever billion, 12.5% of that is $562 million or $562.5 million, which is what Arctos, who's a group that Kevin Durant bought in with, bought. So his portion is some portion of that 562.5 million, which is a wild number for a basketball player who's still playing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously partnership deals. I'm sure he does his own. I don't know what the hell these guys do with their money, to be honest. What happened to not. I mean, I'm glad we're beyond that, but there's a whole documentary series about professional athletes and just being terrible with their money, that they're now like broke as hell, having to do like guest appearances at some ridiculous locations, and like now all these guys are like very like financially savvy, are investing in stocks, and buying, making their money work for them. Shark Tank has really done wonders, is all I'm saying, because
Mark Cuban doing stuff in and out of the NBA arena for NBA players.
They all want to be Mr. Wonderful now, so it's just like Jesus Christ. But like, don't get this like, don't take this with a grain of salt. Obviously, yes, a stake of PSG seems exciting in some sense, but that doesn't mean Kevin Durant necessarily has a say on how things happen with the club. Yeah. If anything, they're definitely going to use him for promotional. Same thing as a James Harden with the Houston Dynamo. They're going to use their name to push people to like, hey, look who we got on. You might see him at the stadium one day, kind of thing.
Or LeBron in Liverpool, or
check him out in this jersey.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's what they do with LeBron, right? Now that they're Nike's the jersey sponsor for Liverpool, now they have the LBJ line of just like of streetwear to wear. That's like a LeBron themed Liverpool stuff. I mean, obviously the Liverpool 9s for LeBron shoes were one of the bigger LeBrons that came out that edition. So yeah, there's so many ways you can get KD influence in there. Obviously, his partnership with Nike plays a little bit of part in this as well. PSG being a Nike Jordan brand, it plays a little bit into that as well. But yeah, it is interesting to see what these guys are able to do with their money and make it work. I'm always shocked every time, but it's cool. But like also, yeah, we'll see. KD's never been a big PR guy, so it is one of those weird things where now you have a guy who's really not into being in front of cameras that often. In front of a camera, he's not like a JJ Watt. He's not a LeBron. He's not James Harden, even for that matter. He is definitely a step back from those guys as far as his public persona goes. So while it's cool, I guess he just wanted to complete his domination over the country of France, I guess, is really what this is.
Yeah, right. Like you just win you beat France to get the gold medal in the Olympics, and then you buy buy a stake of PSG.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rip your heart out at the Olympics, and then I'm going to rip your heart out by owning your favorite football team.
Imagine if he like the pictures that he has like holding the PSG jersey, and he just has like the medal.
Oh, please let that be the case. KD, if you're watching this, please do it. Like we already know you have burners, so you can just, keep that same mentality that you use in your burner accounts to make this troll job actually happen.
Yeah, that's it. That's going to be insane. So at least there's still a world champion in some sense in PSG. Just not in football. The other owner that's coming in as well has been Drake saving Venezia. If you guys didn't know, Venezia was actually on the cusp of bankruptcy. Needed to somehow find a way to raise $40 million. Good God. And people say Barcelona was down bad. But this, obviously we obviously heard the tragic story that Bordeaux is that actually did have to file for bankruptcy, and now Bordeaux is no more. So it happens, and I think now that it's become this huge arms race in top flight football, now that it is starting to become a lot harder to keep these teams afloat. But Nike comes in. Well, so Venezia had struggles trying to get their deal done with Kappa. Kappa actually ends up pulling, and then Nike comes into play because of Drake's influence. Because funny, we're nonstop Nike talk. Drake's brand Nocta will be replacing Kappa for Venezia's kits. I don't know if they've released them or not yet, but yes. So Drake, Venezia, it's important to have Venezia because they just got promoted into the Serie A. Obviously, speaking of Americans that Kelcey mentioned, you do have Gianluca Busio, you have Tanner Tessman. I believe there's another American over there. I just don't remember off the top of my head. But and then plus, like I said, Venezia, they're just we're talking about the city of Venice. It's a beautiful city, very fashion driven, at least the look of Venezia. Like their badge to me is like very, it makes me think of high class. It's funny if you mentioned for a team that just got promoted from the second division. But yeah, it's crazy to think that this team was on the cusp of bankruptcy, almost probably was going to be not in the Serie A this year. And thanks to Drake, who, speaking of interesting summers, saves face. And I will say this, it would be kind of funny if when they go play an opposing team and they just start playing some Kendrick Lamar in the opposing stadium, just pointing that out. Just thought it'd be kind of funny to hear that. But
I'm not against it. But yeah, no, this is a smart move from Drake and Nike. Obviously, their sub brand Nocta is the branch that Drake owns, which is the sponsor of this. Which, if nobody pays attention to Nocta, I don't blame you, because a lot of people don't pay attention to necessarily the streetwear fashion brands every day. But if you do, Nocta has become a big name in those Nike brand deals you see a lot of, that you see. Obviously, Off-White is one that it was just Nike as a whole, but Nocta itself has its own sub-brand that they do a lot of stuff with. So this is a smart move from Drake and Nocta and Nike getting involved in this, because this is one that you can, as you mentioned, you can play into the cultural and awareness of what Venice is. I mean, we talk about some of the great historical sites that is Venice, St. Peter's Basilica, things like that are all there. And now you get to play on that with Drake, which we've talked about their jerseys before on when we did our jerseys recaps in previous years, that Venezia has those type of jerseys that are really kind of cool. Obviously they were one that had to change their jersey from the green color because they had too much green when Serie A decided to cut that out, and I was like, okay, whatever. But this is one that for Nocta it's a huge deal that they can kind of turn this into their own brand, like what Jordan does with PSG, or what Nike does with Liverpool, Chelsea, what they used to do with Man United, what they used to do with some of the bigger teams out there, what they do with Barcelona, where that's their brand, that's their team that's out there in front of everybody. They can have a lot of fun with this. There's great colors there that plays with everything you see Drake do. It's a lot of gold, a lot of black, a lot of oranges, a lot of green accents. So Drake will have a whole lot of fun with that. But yeah, definitely a save face situation for him. But you know what? It's a good story for fans of Venezia, and they can have a great season hopefully and stay in the Serie A. Because I think there's talent there. But if your team goes into bankruptcy or whatever their version of it is in Europe, similar to what South Rangers, it's detrimental to the future of a team. Portsmouth being one of those teams as well a few years back. So. It's a huge move, but it's one that it's beneficial for all. I see that. I don't see there's a drawback for anybody here, because the city gets happy, the fans get happy, and Nike and Drake are probably going to make a whole lot of money from this. So I don't think anybody's going to complain when this one's all said and done.
Yeah, I totally agree on that one. All right, so new faces in ownership groups. I'm sure I feel like we're going to just see more and more, not just basketball players, but NFL stars. MLB is very quiet. I think it's just because they suck as marketing goes. But
Yeah.
But
now there are Aaron Judge and a few other players do own partial ownership of like sports groups, but they do also, like, while they're playing, they can't do a lot of the same deals that NBA allows and NFL allows.
Yeah. So, who knows? Maybe one day we'll see CJ Stroud by some team, and some team in England, maybe Arsenal. Hopefully, I don't know,
or maybe the Dynamo.
Yeah, that would be great. I wouldn't be against that either. Which we now have Tim Howard, so that's cool. So
yes, that is very cool. Actually,
I was like,
that's
really?
Hall of Famer Tim Howard.
Really? That's literally my reaction when I was like, I don't see the connection to Houston, but I'm not complaining. But I was just like, that's a random pick, but all right. I mean, dude started with the Metro Stars, went to played for Colorado for quite before he retired, and he's just like, you know what? I like Houston's vibe. That's literally what he said in the press conference, and so I was just like, I'm not mad at it. I like his pick, so
it's the most Tim Howard thing to do. He just likes the vibe. He's like, I'm going to get involved. He went from Memphis to Houston, so must be something about the barbecue.
Has to be. But all right. Speaking of people with their money decisions on money, Sandro Tonali, if you guys aren't fully aware, August 28th will be the return of Sandro Tonali. He is finally going to be eligible to be able to play, because he was hit with a 10-month ban for betting. Which obviously it's not new with the whole betting thing. Obviously, Ivan Toney in the Premier League, he also was partaking in betting. He had a ban as well. But this was all part of a huge, crazy mix-up of a lot of Italian players that were also involved on this one. Now, Sandro Tonali was not the worst of them. There was actually another guy, I believe he plays at Juventus. I can't remember the name off the top of my head now, and there was also another guy that played for West Ham that also was also pretty bad. But yeah, so Sandro Tonali got caught with the betting, mainly because the guy from Juventus snitched on everybody, and so now there we are where we are now. But August 28th, he is set to return. I would expect his debut being the Carabao Cup match versus Nottingham Forest. That's just where I'm thinking it's going to probably be. But there is some I believe that there was another thing that popped up that he got caught again betting, where he is possibly going to face an additional 2-month suspension. But the plan is to have him take that punishment at the end in the summer. So once again, he will not be eligible for any tournaments, which, what tournament? The Euro is done. So, I mean, where else will Sandro Tonali be playing in the summer? The FIFA Club World Cup? Somehow Newcastle's going to qualify for the FIFA Club World Cup? I don't know. But he's banned from football.
Yeah, no. So they have released his the answer on the extra 2 months. He will not be suspended those extra 2 months for sure. The FA did conclude their investigation on the player. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happened. He was also fined $20,000 and warned, a strong warning from the FA. Like, don't do that again, man. You know what? Look, I have no qualms with players getting banned when they're betting on their own teams. Stop. Like, don't do it. Don't bet in your own league. Just if you're gonna bet, don't bet in your own league. It should be that simple. Like, you should just be smart enough to realize, hey, maybe I don't get myself in trouble by betting on the league I play in, especially not the team I play for, when I know I'm going to be on the pitch, because that's just not smart. Because for Tonali, he bet 4 games for Newcastle. It's like, why would you ever do that? Doesn't make sense. I have the same issues that for the college football players that do it, for the NFL players that have been busted doing it, for NBA players who have been busted doing it. Like, stop it. The difference is, between them and, let's say, somebody like Pete Rose, who was banned from baseball for betting, is Pete Rose never bet on a Reds game. So 2 wildly different scenarios where Pete Rose never bet on his own team versus these guys are literally betting on their own team and betting on their teams to lose in certain cases. And it's like, why would you do that? That just doesn't make sense. it'll be interesting to see what happens when he comes back. But yeah, I get it. You can't ban him forever, but like just be smarter. I do have to laugh though when I look at these like pressers from like Newcastle, and they're like, "Oh, he still continues a therapy program and an educational program. He's been in it for the last 5 months." It's like, what is that going to do? He still has his phone. He still has the apps. He can still do all of this. He can still go down to the local bookie and make bets there at My Points Bet or whatever EU affiliate they have in Newcastle, and it doesn't change anything. He has to walk by him every day just to get to the stadium. And then, I have a lot of problems with betting for athletes from the standpoint of like, I do believe they should be allowed to bet, but I also think there's common sense rules like you shouldn't bet on your own team and your own league. That should be in place. But there's also no way to limit them from doing so because they have so many different people that are part of their groups, if you will. And that's air quotations for anybody who's not watching the video here is, I don't know, man. This is always a tough one for me because I hate when I see it where people are betting on their own teams because that's just dumb. Especially when there are regulations in place that you say you shouldn't do this. But yeah, I mean, also the Juventus player snitches get stitches, bro.
Yeah, it was a crazy, crazy series of events, which honestly, I was kind of intrigued. The one thing I was intrigued by was the fact that like, obviously this got caught by Sandro Tonali, and I feel like at least like tinfoil hat comes on right now, of where AC Milan knew what was to come, and they were just like, let's sell him right now, so we don't get hurt from it. Some other team is gonna get shafted by it, and I mean it worked out for them, but I mean, because I honestly I was so shocked that Sandro Tonali was getting transferred out of AC Milan, a club that this was gonna be our at least AC Milan's like next Andrea Pirlo type player with his vision, was the captain, the season prior. And obviously still very young, world-class player. I think he's one of those guys.
I believe he's 24.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And it's kind of like one of those like, if this guy gets sold to a club, it's because it's for like a ridiculous amount of money. And I'm not gonna lie, even the amount that Newcastle got for him, I felt like he was kind of undersold, and I feel that's why I'm like, tinfoil hat on. AC Milan knew this was gonna happen, so they're like, "Hey, let's just get what we can for him, and let someone else have to deal with the legalities of this." But
yeah, it's probably true. I mean, there's also another part of this, and this is something that for the European game is a little different than it is here in the U.S., where betting really recently became legalized here in the U.S. In England, especially, betting has been literal jersey sponsors for over a decade, and then they've had in-person like bookies essentially legalized for 20 some odd years that I can even know of, if not a lot longer than that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot longer than that. But yeah, this is like, you promote these betting activities, and when players do these things, you also kind of like, I feel like it's 80% players here and then 20% like, well, maybe you shouldn't have promoted it to the players to sponsor these things and allow that, because, in the U.S., you're not allowed to have active players sponsoring a betting program. But in England, they have literal players on the team wearing the jersey sponsorship all the time and on ads promoting that, whether it's active or inactive thought that's doing it. It doesn't matter. It's represented right there. It's like, 80% of the players got to be smarter. 20%, the league has to be better with the way they promote this as well.
Yeah, and obviously, like the whole gambling side, it's also a touchy subject. I know that there's a lot of groups that have been pushing for the stopping of promoting these gambling sites, especially on shirts, because I believe, kids, when the kid wants to buy a youth jersey, the sponsor is actually removed.
It's supposed to be removed.
Yeah, it's supposed to be removed. So I mean, not great business if you're for for your sponsor, at least on that part. But I mean, obviously that's the rules over there. But yeah, no, it's such a weird thing. Obviously, like I think if people were to be able to have self-control, which by the way, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Yeah, like if you have to look over your shoulder because or having to constantly check your bank account because you're not going to be able to bank your bills, like I bet, but I'm not going crazy on these bets that I'm doing. If anything, I lose like 5 or 20 max is what I'm going after because one, I'm not balling like that to be making those. I'm not Mattress Mac being able to bet like $2 million on the Astros. But yeah, like it's just it's just like unfortunately, like you said, if you have self-control and you're able to maybe not even not only bet in the league, but just don't bet on your sport. But like, I always feel like it's one of those things where you give them an inch and they take a mile kind of thing. There's always that one person that has to ruin it for everybody. And I know that I'm like I said, I get that people don't necessarily like betting. I am one of those people that does like to bet, but it's unfortunate that some people could just ruin it for everyone else. This whole betting scandal that happened with all these Italian players is kind of that representation of what happens when you're not able to really have a strong program that can enforce this from preventing it to get to this extremity. Because I believe the player, which I think is Fagioli, I think is the player.
Sounds about right.
Fagioli.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That kid is in like massive debt because of all this. And I mean, he's still young. Like he hasn't even gotten his real contract as a professional player yet. So that kid's looking over his shoulder. So I think that's gonna be the problem. And I think the only thing you can do, which is common in most sports, is they just don't. You're not allowed to bet. Even employees, and I can speak as someone that has worked for professional sports teams, that we actually signed an agreement form that we're not supposed to gamble. We're not supposed to do any sports betting. I did bet on the bet against the Rockets. I was like this looks too good to be true. It was like, the Rockets were already checked out. They already clinched their playoff spot. They were already going to be the first seed in the Western Conference. I felt good. They're playing against Oklahoma. Oklahoma needed to be in the playoffs. I was like, bet, easy money. I didn't tell anybody. I mean, now I am because I'm out of there. They don't. What are you gonna
do? Statute of limitations have passed.
What are you gonna do? Fire me?
No, and that's the thing. I was like, that's the thing though. Is look, you got to be smart with this. It doesn't just apply to just players for teams. It applies to colleges. It applies to marketing companies. Certain marketing companies have this regulation because some of their clients are sports affiliates and things like that. Yeah, just like you said it earlier, if you have a problem, call somebody, but also don't bet more than you can afford. Bet smarter, not harder. That's what DJ always says on our show. But yeah, this is something that got put out of place. And it's not the first time the Italian football world has been shocked by a betting scandal. If you guys don't remember why Juventus got sent away from Serie A, it was because of a betting ring. And was it a legal betting ring? No. And neither was Fagioli's. His was betting on illegal sites as well. So there's not the first time this happened in Italy, and probably won't be the last if they don't put in some common sense regulations here from the Italian Federation. And then also you talk about sporting agencies, football, FIFA. They all need to come into play for here because they all have these booking sites as a sponsor. But the problem is you don't then limit the players from doing anything with them because they're on jerseys and because they're on billboards right inside the stadium. Be smarter with it, and this probably won't be as big of an issue. You might see one or two players in the smaller divisions having these issues, but you're not going to see 11 young, talented Italian players getting suspended for 18 months or longer. And you're not going to see an entire football franchise that has been great in the world be relegated and docked points and fined millions and millions of euros because they're going to know well and beforehand that if we even touch it, it's game over. And that's That's what I said. There's different regulations between countries, different regulations between, that side of the world, this side of the world. But at the end of the day, the rules should always be the same. Be smart. Yeah. Don't be stupid with this. Just be smart.
Yeah. At the end of the day, obviously, just make better decisions. Yeah. I get the thrill of gambling, but at the same time, it's not worth risking your career over it.
I bet 10 cents in almost every day. I bet 10 cents because I can afford to lose 10 cents. In a week, I'm losing 50 cents if I lose. Most of the times I'm betting on very safe bets, so I get money back. But like if I'm placing a straight bet, I don't spend much money. There's been a few times I've gone over $5. It's very limited. It's like, just be smart. Don't put anything crazy. Like I get my itch by putting 10 cents in and calling it swell. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. Oh no, I dropped a dime out of my pocket. How sad is that? Like that's just my brain, how that works. But people just need to be smart.
Very, very fair point. So, like I said, August 28th will be the date that Sandro Tonali will be free from his ban from football, and we'll see how Newcastle. I know he's already been training with the squad, so as far as he is getting chemistry wise with the team, he should be good. Obviously, he's a world class 6, so I'm sure he can find his role very, very right away. I'm sure Newcastle is hoping to have him back. I think he was a huge loss for them last year, so we'll see what happens for Newcastle United over there with Sandro Tonali making his return. But all right, the final headline, and it's a huge one, depending on how you feel about it. The U.S. men's national team is set to hire Mauricio Pochettino. I didn't even know his name was even in the hat. It was like I didn't even know his hat was thrown into the ring for this U.S. men's national team job. Obviously, if you guys don't know, USA obviously got eliminated in the group stages of the Copa America, which was the final nail in the coffin. That was Greg Berhalter. So, which as we all rejoice, but then now we had our fear of who the hell is going to coach this team when we were 2 years away, less than 2 years away from the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And there were some scares. Steve Cherundolo was a name, a very strong name. And then we saw Patrick Vieira. Some people have mixed feelings. Some people liked it. Wilfred Nancy was an MLS name that a lot of people were liking to hear. My guy, Pellegrino Matarazzo, somehow was back into the mix for it at one point. They tried to get Jurgen Klopp. That was laughable. Would have been awesome.
I would say that was the most polite, not going to happen, while also being shade at the same time.
Like, I was like, I mean, way to reach for the stars.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it.
But like when I saw that headline, I was like, come on. Like, y'all really think the dude's literally taking a hiatus? Like,
he has said he is not coaching anywhere this year, and yet you're going to be like, oh, let's do it. All right, well, you tried.
You don't want to coach Christian Pulisic
again?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And Claudio Reyna again. Sorry, Gio, not Claudio, but Gio Reyna again.
Don't worry, we'll keep the Reyna family far away from you as possible. But yeah, so that was kind of funny. I know Gareth Southgate ends up leaving, stepping down from the England job, and the rumor was that he was going to take the USA job. Thank God.
Also, I just want to point out, leaving is a very nice way of saying he was forced out.
Nothing's ever mutual. I know that for a fact. But just like how I mutually parted ways with the Houston Dynamo.
It might have been mutual, but not mutual with you included.
I wasn't I didn't think that was going to happen. Anyways, I wasn't in that plan. But I should really be careful when I talk about the Dynamo. But anyways, going back to the USA.
You're going to get the cease and desist letter this episode. I'm sorry. They're sending it. Sir, you don't need to talk about your
if I'm not on the do not hire list, I'm definitely going to.
You're going to need to change in organizational leadership. Hopefully Tim Howard brings in a whole new staff.
Tim Howard's like,
you get removed from the post.
Come back. You're good. Yeah. Come back. But yeah, so obviously names and names. I don't know. I was sweating a little bit because at the end of the day I just thought it was gonna be Mercy. I thought Mercy. I thought it was gonna be Steve Cherundolo. The whole time. I just like it's gonna be Cherundolo. Basically another Greg Berhalter, maybe more softly spoken, Berhalter. So it was just like I'm like I don't know if I want this. Is it any better? It's not Berhalter. I guess that's some positive, but like I don't know. I wasn't really big on Cherundolo, just in general, but yeah, so out of nowhere, just someone throws out Mauricio Pochettino. And if you guys haven't really like been listening to Insert Name FC from like the early years, we've taken a lot of shots at Mauricio Pochettino. I feel like
cue the rewind footage here.
because Pochettino was he actually was out of the Tottenham job, I believe, when we started the podcast because it was like what 2020?
2019. 2019 is when he got let go. So yeah.
So yeah, gets the PSG job. I remember me and Edward just kept messing with each other because like Barcelona didn't have a manager. We're like maybe you guys get Pochettino, and then Real Madrid didn't have a manager, and then like maybe Pochettino goes to Real Madrid. We just kept messing with each other with the idea of Pochettino coaching our teams. Yeah, we trolled Pochettino a little too much in this podcast, and I feel like in some sense that was like eventually was gonna bite us in the back. Like it was eventually gonna rear its ugly head to us of all the things that we've said about him. We didn't say anything bad, but we were just
Can we check the tapes on that one?
Pochettino's there, but yeah, so there was a rumor that popped out that potentially Pochettino was going to be the big name to be set to be the next U.S. men's national team coach. And I kind of brushed it off. I was like, because I wanted the account, I was like, this isn't a serious account. But then, of course, when you see Fabrizio Romano, you're like, where's the April Fool's joke? Where's the April? Yeah. Look, I'm going to have to answer for a lot of the shit that I've said about Pochettino, and that's the only thing I'm afraid of. So
that's okay. We're going to have to answer for one more here in just a second. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I mean, I was going to try to be nice about this, but I can't be nice about this. Is it better than Steve Cherundolo? Yeah. Is it better than Greg Berhalter? Sure.
I mean, he has international pedigree, obviously. He's Argentine.
Good international pedigree though.
That's up to be discussed. But like I said, so right now Pochettino has agreed to be the U.S. men's national team coach. I believe right now, there's actually a current financial ordeal going on with Chelsea, which that's just kind of hilarious. As how
surprise.
Hey, if you guys didn't think we were done talking about how Chelsea sucks right now, apparently Chelsea, which obviously they were mutually released. I put air quotes on the mutually part. And Chelsea owes Pochettino money. So, which per I believe by FIFA, he cannot accept another job until that is resolved. So, there's hope for you right there, Kelcey. Though I'm sure Chelsea's going to do whatever they need to do to get that taken care of. And so, like I said, at least if Pochettino is going to be the coach of the U.S. men's national team, which I figure is probably going to happen, since it seems that, especially now that you have ESPN talking about it, everyone has at least made their drop for it. Like I said, he has European experience. Going all the way back from his time as the manager for Espanyol. So Spanish football influence. I mean, if you're someone that likes that style of play with Spanish football, more technically sound football, that's something positive to take. But some of his career highlights is obviously Champions League finalist with Tottenham. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty fucking impressive because Tottenham is terrible. That was the highlight for Tottenham's whole life.
Thank goodness he was the coach of that Tottenham team, though.
He was the coach of that Tottenham team.
And couldn't pull out the trophy.
I mean, Hey, look. Speaking of gambling, I was very happy that day because I hit a 3-bet parlay that day. I think in total of betting, I put $50 on it. So I had obviously Liverpool to win Liverpool to win the Champions League, Liverpool to win by 2 goals, and the score being 2-0. And I remember at one point I was just like, the second goal is just not coming. It's just not gonna happen, and that's fine, And I was like, I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not really. It's not like I really care if I win. And I think like the payout was like $500, and I was like, do I need $500? No, I don't need $500. And then all of a sudden, the Belgian player, I believe he was Belgium,
The striker?
or Origi.
Origi? Yeah,
Origi.
Divock Origi?
Yeah, he scores the second goal. And you would have maybe have thought I was a Liverpool fan at that moment. I probably would have kissed him if I was at the field. Because he got me $500. That's probably the most I've ever gotten from anybody. Yeah, so
that was one of the few games I did put more than $5 on. I did put $10 on that game, and I won $100-something. It was a payout. Yeah. I'm more than happy on with the way that turned out. Obviously, as a Liverpool fan, super shout out to Pochettino for not being able to change his tactics by halftime.
Yeah, so great day for me. So I'm plus Tottenham lost, so that's just a win in general for me. I didn't like they were in the final, but you know what? Hey, it's hilarious to see them all crying because they lost in the final. It's like that's the closest you're gonna get to a trophy. Also that's the closest Harry Kane's ever gonna get to a trophy. Actually, that's all he's ever been able to do is just walk by the trophy.
Yeah, he got a medal for it. Good job, Harry Kane.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, and obviously he won with PSG, which was the year that featured Lionel Messi. So
yeah, that's a good way to put it. But he only lasted there a year, so does that count?
Which he then took the Chelsea job, and we know Chelsea's not entirely his fault.
No, not even close. He continues the line of what I said earlier. If nobody listened to the Chelsea part earlier, simple answer is management sucked, and Pochettino tried to come in and be like, "Hey, let's fix this," and then they were like, "No."
So I will throw out the formation that Pochettino preferably uses, which is a 4-2-3-1 formation. Which if you're a U.S. soccer fan, you might like that because obviously something that a lot of people have been asking for. Obviously you can ask Tactical Manager, 11 Yanks, those accounts that really focus more towards U.S. soccer and how the U.S. Soccer Federation is being ran. And I want to see this is a camp being used, an attacking midfielder being featured in a formation. We have probably a very solid actually, we have plenty of natural.
We have 3 of them that start.
Obviously Gio Reyna, Christian Pulisic has actually been playing the 10 role for AC Milan this season. You have Malik Tillman, you have Taylor Booth. I would say is more of a 10 than he is winger, but they've just been using him as a winger.
You have Weston if you're going to play that formation. Weston as a cam is a good one.
That or obviously keep him at the 8. Opens up a lot of, at least that formation opens up a lot of options as far as with the player pool that we have. Now, mind you, once again, there's still people that believe that this is a golden generation. I am not one of those people. But it is definitely one of our brighter crop of players that we've seen. Not brighter crop. I would say more resourced crop of players that we've had in years. This is, once again, like me and Kelcey have talked previously, this is the first generation players that have actually had a true player pathway to pro, having an academy system, having some sort of youth level initiative towards some sort of MLS team or some sort of club team. Youth soccer is very unique, and I can spend hours talking about it, but obviously this is not this conversation. But there's just and obviously the pathway that Weston McKennie isn't the same as the pathway that it is now with MLS Next Pro and MLS Next and blah blah blah. But this is the first crop of players that have that resource versus somehow have a college find me and we'll go from there. Like Clint Dempsey. Who would have thought a guy from Nacogdoches, Texas, small town, finds his way into a college and then gets drafted into the New England Revolution and then goes and plays with Fulham and had that weird period at Tottenham. I didn't particularly like that part. I still supported him, but I didn't really like that part too much. But yeah, like the player pathway was very not clear for U.S. soccer for quite some time, and this is the first crop of players that really had that true player pathway. So that and that is where some people have this this confusion of whether this is a golden generation, which it is not.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with everything you just said. We talked about it last time, was on the show where this generation, if we're going to classify it as anything, this is our kind of like silver age. This is our brightest hopefuls that we've ever had in the standpoint of, yes, they have a player path. Yes, they have the most talent. Yes, they have the most resources. Yes, they're getting seen a lot more. But there's a generation right behind them led by somebody like Kevin Sullivan, who is even brighter, right? And that's what we want. That as a U.S. Soccer Federation is we want to have a pathway for just churning players out that can be superstars at any given point in time for the club team, and then parlay that into a career with the national team, where we have 34, 44 guys that are actually legitimately in rotation in the men's national team. And as much as I don't like the idea of Pochettino, to go back to him for just a second, is, the reason I don't like him is purely from a club management standpoint. But as a training and using young, talented players and progressing their talents to get the best out of them, I like him a lot more. So as the U.S. management, as U.S. national team manager, that's why I'm iffy about it. I don't necessarily love it, but I don't absolutely hate it. I just am I don't like it because I don't like his tactical changes throughout the game. And also the antiquated strategies and practice and things like that. Do they really work? I don't know. I'm a little half and half on that. But his ability to get the best out of young players and to progress them forward is what I want from a U.S. manager. I don't need a Berhalter where he's a encouragement guy. I need a guy who's literally going to get in there in the weeds and tell Pulisic to, you know what? Instead of passing that backwards, go run at that defender. And if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. Look at Heung-min Son. He came in under Pochettino. Dele Alli came in under Pochettino.
Some of his better years.
And they were the best years of their career. They were the most growth they've ever had as a player. Obviously, Son, for example, is a superstar now. But he got that growth and that talent from Pochettino playing with him. Some of the best Harry Kane we ever got, what put Harry Kane on the map, was playing with Pochettino. So there are pieces of Pochettino's management style that I love. Obviously, the 4-2-3-1 is nice for the U.S. as far as what we have today. But I do think there's pieces of this that I am concerned about, obviously. Just, in-game management. I've complained enough about that with, Greg Berhalter and past coaches. Everybody basically since Bob Bradley the first time. I've had problems with as far as their inability to make it changes during a game. But this is one that, like, for the future of U.S. soccer, I don't hate it as much. And we talked about this. If we're really going to talk about a golden generation for U.S. soccer, this is something that we're building towards to set the groundwork in 2026 in the World Cup. And what I mean by that is, we talked about the last time, we want the kids that are going to be sitting in an elementary school watching the World Cup to think, I want to be the next great U.S. men's national team player. And so in 2030, 2035, 2040, those years, that's when I really first see us having a golden generation, because we finally just have the initial stages of the groundwork. If anybody knows how the houses are built, we basically just have laid the rebar. Now we're laying the foundation on top of the rebar to make sure that's a structurally sound foundation for the future. That's what I want 26 to be for the U.S. I don't care how pretty it looks. And I hope Pochettino doesn't care how pretty it looks. Because if he's the guy I think there's an opportunity here that we will at the very least, do better than we just did in the Copa, and we'll get out of a group stage. But I also think that there's some buy-in that needs to happen from players, and that's always a concern with these young players that we have currently in the staff, is in the team. There are question marks there, but there's enough of a big crop that I think with Pochettino having enough time, 2 years really, to get in there and actually start to get his game plan situated and get his mentality situated into and pushed onto these players for this run in the World Cup. I think there's an opportunity that the U.S. could do something they've never done before, or at the very least, make it to a semis and match the best result we've ever had. And that's the goal I want, because these kids are the ones, when we got in 2002 to the semis, that were just being born. So when they were in middle school and in elementary school and middle school, they were being told by coaches, be the McBrides, be that team from 2002 that made it the furthest that they've ever made. That's what we want in the next crop to make our golden generation. But right now, we're almost there, but we're not there yet. Let's not kid ourselves. This isn't going to be the guys that win the World Cup. And if they are, thank goodness. But if it's not, that's not the worst thing that'll ever happen. So I think Pochettino will be good. There are parts that I just think he himself as a manager, and I think he'll admit this, he needs to get better at. And that's just part of managing. You kind of have to grow through the ages. And that's, he has been out of the job for a year almost. So can he turn that into something for the future? I don't know yet, but I'm a little more positive than it sounded earlier, but not by a whole lot.
Well, he actually left the job this past season.
Sorry, it's been a couple months.
Yeah. I think the concerns are there, obviously, for Pochettino. Not like, he's not the sexiest of managers, obviously. Renard was when it comes to sexiness. So I feel like we missed that bullet there. But I think at least the things that, like, one, it's not a safety U.S. soccer pick. Yeah. The safe U.S. soccer pick was Cherundolo. Mm-hmm. Cherundolo would have been the one where everyone was just like, it's just another Berhalter. Everyone would have felt the same way. Wilfried Nancy, if they somehow found a way to get him out of that Columbus Crew contract, which I just don't think was going to be possible, that was going to be one of those, like, can he do it? I don't know, but I'm willing to see what happens. And I mean the same thing with Matarazzo, Pellegrino Matarazzo from Hoffenheim. Same situation where I know what he can do in Germany. I know he has that German influence. Do I know what he's going to do on the international stage? Obviously, international is different from club, but I'm willing to see it out. And I think with Pochettino, yes, there's some question marks on his resume. Not the prettiest of resumes, and honestly, some of his best work was with that Tottenham team. And honestly, like you mentioned it, look how, aside from Dele Alli, which I just feel like, unfortunately, just people just stopped believing. He didn't have that manager that believed in him like
Jose Mourinho was. Jose Mourinho was the worst thing that happened for Dele Alli.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is for me on that part. And so I think, but when you look at Heung-min Son, world-class player, a lot of that comes from Mauricio Pochettino's influence. Same thing goes to Harry Kane. So there's question marks on his resume, but I think his Tottenham time shows how well he can develop a team. Chelsea was just a rough place to go into. I don't expect you could have Pep Guardiola in that situation. I don't think he could do it as well. That is a tough job to manage. PSG, if you don't have a trophy out of PSG, what are we doing? So yeah. Thomas Tuchel has a trophy with PSG, so that sounds mean.
Was it Antoine Villas-Boas also has a trophy from PSG?
Yeah.
So anybody remember that name? That's a callback.
Yeah. I'm surprised Jose Mourinho didn't go there. He's too busy getting yellow cards in Turkey now.
No, he doesn't want that big of a trophy. He wants he wanted to complete that trifecta for European Cups.
That's true. That's very true. But yeah, so as far as Pochettino goes, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it is. I'm surprised that U.S. Soccer even went this route to even go for at least go for Pochettino. It's still in some sense a big name, European influence, specifically Spanish, which I do like. I do like the Spanish influence, but I do love his development. I do love his ability to develop players, and I think especially with this young group of players that we have, because we have a lot of guys under the age of 23 on this roster currently, that could do wonders for him. I mean, just to name a few players that I think of that are of note as far as the under 23 range. Obviously, Johnny Cardozo, who I feel like has jumped over Tyler Adams now as far as the sixth role.
Is anybody ready to have that conversation yet? I don't know.
Greg Berhalter didn't. I think Pochettino will be that guy that will look at that. Especially because Tyler Adams can't even play a full game, and that hurts as a Tyler Adams fan. You have Yunus Musa at your exposed, which man can literally play anywhere on the attacking side of the field, and obviously can still play in the midfield. So a real Swiss Army knife, if you will, of a player. You have Gio Reyna. Hopefully you can get something out of him, and once again we'll do our best, Pochettino, to keep the Reyna family away from you. We'll try, and I can't promise you anything. Those they couldn't kill
Berhalter.
They couldn't even kill Berhalter, so
they tried.
Not very well. I mean, Gaga Sanina is going to be an interesting name in the next coming years. Obviously, Schulte. The goalkeeper position is very wide open now. I'm sorry, but Turner, you got to get the fuck out of Nottingham.
Go somewhere you're actually
go back to the MLS, bro. Like, you need to go somewhere you're going to get fucking minutes.
He played more at Arsenal than he has in Tottenham, or than he has at Nottingham. How crazy is that to think about?
It's insane. At least you were playing FA Cup matches when you were at Arsenal.
Yeah, at least you got time.
It is insane to me. But yeah, those names, obviously, there's a lot of young players that I think are really interesting. Taylor Booth is one that I'm still intrigued by. Kevin Paredes could be. I want to see how he does at Wolfsburg. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, man, there's some options here, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how he develops the team. Unfortunately, not many center backs, and that's kind of heartbreaking for me. But
I think there's center backs to be developed. But then again, let's think Pochettino's best teams didn't necessarily have the best center backs either. It was slower center backs, older center backs, but they weren't necessarily the best. Granted, I'm not saying bring back in Tim Ream, but at the same time, there's some talented.
Does this improve the odds for John Brooks?
Oh gosh. Does it improve the odds that John Brooks actually plays in a U.S. jersey versus just looks like he's a man out there? Like I was playing center back. I don't know. But yes, I think he's going to get an opportunity. I just don't know if he's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's very true. But yeah, so a lot of interesting question marks from Mauricio Pochettino. So far, I think the consensus is we're cautiously optimistic of what is going to come for the U.S. I think props to the U.S. for going different. Obviously, last time they went different, they got Jurgen Klinsmann, and I still defend that man to this day. I don't think he ruined U.S. Soccer. U.S. Soccer ruined him.
I think it was a little bit of both. I think him being taken over the player role, the player management role, was the player development role, I should say. That was the mistake.
Yeah.
But as a manager, I think it was fine.
Which I think that was the thing for me with Jurgen Klinsmann, because obviously this is a big person. Jurgen Klinsmann was a big personality.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it kind of caused some friction between him and U.S. Soccer. Mauricio Pochettino does not necessarily have a very huge ego. He's like, yes, he's in some sense a name, but there's some sort of level of humility.
He's Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah.
As far as managers go, he's the Thomas Tuchel of managers, where he just kind of comes in and does his own thing. And if you let him do his own thing, it usually works out pretty well.
Which, I mean, U.S. Soccer is letting him stay in Europe. So, I mean,
yeah.
So he doesn't have to move to Chicago. He's just hanging out.
I would want to stay out of Chicago too if I was managing the team.
So, which if you guys didn't know, that's where U.S. Soccer headquarters is at, is in Chicago, Illinois. But yeah, so obviously the consensus, like I said, is probably cautiously optimistic, hoping for the best. We'll see how Mauricio Pochettino does. I believe September will be his debut as a manager for the U.S. Obviously, if everything gets handled on the paperwork side, on the legal side of things, but yeah, it looks like Mauricio Pochettino will be the new coach of the U.S. men's national team, and like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic, and optimistic is actually a word I would probably put more emphasis on.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. I am also cautiously optimistic, maybe a little bit more in the in between cautiously and optimistic. But yeah, it's I don't know. It can't. I don't want to say those words because it could get worse, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it could get worse than what we were just watching. I guess if Gareth Southgate come in, maybe it's worse.
All I know is if I see one pass back to the center back and watching him trying to make a pass when we're supposed to have this awesome midfield, I'm gonna lose my shit immediately. I'm gonna just say
five guys in the midfield guarded by three, and they can't string two passes together. Please make it make sense per halter.
I will tweet Pochettino out immediately if I see a pass to the back.
I'm right there with you.
But all right, guys, we're going to take a break, and then we'll go right into our preview for the Bundesliga. Hey, guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast here to tell you guys about Canadips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canadip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BellyUp20 at CanadipCBD.com. Once again, BellyUp20 at CanadipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canadips for being a great partner of BellyUpSports. All right, guys, we're back. Bundesliga kicks off this weekend. The last of the leagues that are coming in, at least of the Power 5. Actually, weirdly enough, usually League One starts around the same time with Bundesliga, but I think because now that they went down to 18 teams, which I don't know how that makes any sense, they're now starting a week before. I don't know. It's weird. But the teams that will be featured with the Bundesliga this season is FC Augsburg, Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich, VfL Bochum, Borussia Dortmund, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Eintracht Frankfurt, SC Freiburg, Heidenheim, Hoffenheim, Holstein Kiel, Mainz, RB Leipzig, FC St. Pauli, VfB Stuttgart, Union Berlin, Werder Bremen, and VfL Wolfsburg are the teams. New faces in the Bundesliga this year. We have St. Pauli back in the Bundesliga, as well as Holstein Kiel. I wish I gave you guys some research on Kiel, but I did not. St. Pauli was an interesting story because they had the American that's actually German because his parents were German, but he was born in Houston, Texas, and I'm going to claim him. But he actually moved. He actually took a job at Brighton. So
almost had it.
So I'm gonna pray for St. Pauli. This is the part that kind of sucks about teams that have like at least like an exciting young coach, where because the guy is like I think somewhat around my age. You're doing, you get promoted, you're excited for next year, you're ready to get led by the charge with your manager, and then you get swept under the rug by another team. And, so I'm going to pray for you guys. You and Holstein Kiel, I hope you guys stay afloat for one more season in the Bundesliga. But if we know Bundesliga very well, more than likely, you're both probably going to get relegated. Just probably what's going to happen.
And that's what happens usually.
Yeah. So, but yeah, new faces for the Bundesliga. Those are the two teams. I forgot who was the team that actually played the promotion game, but they stayed afloat. I think it might have been Bochum. I'm not entirely sure. But Nuri Sahin is going to be the new coach for Borussia Dortmund this season. Former player. I believe he's not that far off from when he retired. But he is now the new coach for Borussia Dortmund. Former Borussia Dortmund player. Went to Real Madrid for a bit, didn't pan out over there, then went back to Borussia Dortmund and became a baller again. So, um, it's probably the best indication of a Dortmund player. Was there for a lot of the good years of Borussia Dortmund as well. So, a guy that understands what it means to be playing for Dortmund and what the expectations are of a Borussia Dortmund player. But are you intrigued by Nuri Sahin being the new coach for Borussia Dortmund?
Oh yeah, always. He was one that we talked about jokingly. You have players that have gone from Turkey to another league to excel versus players retiring to Turkish leagues. Nuri Sahin was obviously the opposite. He was the best Turkish player probably to come out of that generation of Turkey players and kind of paved the way for any new Turkish player to come in. But yeah, no, I like him. I like him a lot as far as the coach goes. He knows that team. He knows what it means to play in front of that yellow wall. And it's going to be something that's interesting considering he was the guy really kind of the engine in that team that won the title under Klopp in 2010, 2011, to see how much of what he brings is going to be Klopp-esque. A lot of the recent managers of Dortmund have been kind of a Klopp disciple in a lot of ways. Edin Terzic might be the only one that maybe wasn't considered that, even though he was a developmental coach under Klopp. So, it's one of those things that Klopp's influence continues to play a part in Dortmund, and Nuri Sahin's the next step in that. And he was probably part of the best years of Dortmund, where they could compete with Bayern, where they were taking out Bayerns, where they were handling business when they were playing against Bayern. And we'll see if he can continue that mentality, because obviously the new crop of players at Dortmund, there's questions there. They played well under Terzic half the time, not the other half, because obviously they lost Royce and Hummels. But I think I'm interested. I'm interested to see what he does. I think, anytime Dortmund is good, it's a good thing for the Bundesliga. So I'm hopeful that there's positives here.
Yeah, obviously, especially when you look at that other team, Bayern Munich, how they're going to respond, especially, well, we'll get to that third team later, not in a bit, but the other one obviously is Vincent Kompany, somehow getting the greatest promotion of all time, especially if you just coach the team that got relegated. From possibly coaching again in the championship to having the best resources you probably have ever had as a coach. And mind you, he coached Anderlecht, and that's basically kind of at least in that ratio, similar to what Bayern Munich is to the Bundesliga, in some sense. But yes, Vincent Kompany, probably I would say head scratcher as a hiring, because of the fact that he has no real connection to Bayern Munich. Obviously it's the respect of what he was as a captain, as a Belgium international, as a defender. Obviously now we're seeing more and more audio clips of him yelling at the players. So that's awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
That was fun.
Just him being a dick, which I'm like, that's a center back. I'm sorry, that's just a center back. That's how center backs talk.
It was a center back or goalkeeper is what that reminds me of. One of the others is who's yelling at those guys. Like when I heard it, I was like, wait, who is that? And then I saw it was Vincent Kompany. I was like, that makes sense. That checks out. So yeah,
Kompany, somehow he managed to get a very high profile job. So we'll see how he does with Bayern Munich, still a very stacked team. You still have Harry Kane up top. You have Jamal Musiala. I'm guessing is going to be the guy we see more on that cam spot, more than I'm going to say we're going to start seeing Mueller kind of come off the bench more. At least that's what I'm projecting is going to happen. I know he did retire from the German national team as well this season. You still have Leroy Sané. You still have Serge Gnabry. You got Matthias de Ligt off your roster. So you still have Manuel Neuer. It's still a very loaded team. Have they made any signings of any significance? Honestly, no, but they did manage to get rid of at least Matthias de Ligt's contract off of their books. A guy that I just feel like has just been underperforming since leaving Ajax. Maybe it could be just the situations that he was put in. Obviously, Juventus, he, obviously couldn't start over Bonucci and Chiellini, but goes to Bayern Munich, just didn't work out. Now he's at Manchester United. They sent somebody else also to Manchester United. I just don't remember, but they kind of a lot of trimming of the fat right now with Bayern Munich. But is he given right now the keys to a Ferrari? Is Vincent Company giving the keys to a Ferrari right now?
I think so. I mean, look, Harry Kane still finished his season last year with 36 goals, just shy of Lewandowski's 41 goal record for the club for a single campaign. So, yeah, there's weapons there.
Also, this past season, I believe they scored more points than they did the previous year, which they won the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
So
it just tells you how good Leverkusen was last year, right? Is they obviously have to try to overcome that hump that was an undefeated season for Leverkusen. For once, Bayern Munich is the team that's not the undefeated one going into the final week last year. But yeah, no, they couldn't do it, but they did a great job of trying to storm back into that one and finishing second, obviously, where last season after kind of the struggles it felt like early on in the career in the campaign, it worked out well. I do think they did add a piece that's maybe underrated here. Hiroki Ito out of Japan. You talk about defenders. In Bayern, coached by now a defender, a world-class defender, he brings in Hiroki Ito, and I think that's an interesting pickup because we've seen a lot of Japanese players, when they do succeed, they succeed well in Germany specifically.
I mean, and he's getting paired up with a Korean player, but
no, I mean, it's interesting to see that. Obviously, they brought in Stanisic from Leverkusen as well. Younger player, probably not going to get that much time in that giant squad that is Bayern, but it kind of shows you that even though Leverkusen had an undefeated season last year, they're still able to bring in a young player that's talented from Germany and kind of just keep absorbing the younger talent, which I think they didn't do for 2 to 3 years. And we saw that maybe the last 2 years specifically, that team not necessarily being as strong as they were in the past.
I will say they also managed to somehow keep obviously the transfer window is still available, but Alphonso Davies is now 100%. He's bought back in on Bayern Munich. I mean, it's not as if they just hired one of the best defenders of all time in Premier League history.
Yeah, no, it's impressive what Bayern's able to do. So I do think I'm interested to see what Company can do, because we talked about this as far as a manager, as far as young managers, I guess you can say. Even though he's not young anymore, he's in his 40s now, but he is still a young manager, and he has a recent player mindset, so he can touch all these younger players that he's coaching, Alphonso Davies being one of them, and Harry Kane at the same time, and still touch on what gets them going, what keeps them going, and what keeps them motivated. And we just talked about Pochettino and one of his antiquated trading strategies. Well, Company's not coming in with antiquated trading strategies. He's coming in with Pep Guardiola training strategies. He's coming in with these high-level Anderlecht trained and then Pep trained strategies that have succeeded across the world scope for the global game of football. And he's coming in here to take I don't even know if Ferrari is a strong enough term. This is it's one of those rocket ship cars. It is a high-powered engine in the hood that just needs the right person driving it to get the best out of this. And I think Company has an ability to maybe speak to these players a little bit differently than they've had in the past. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel last year, no fault of his own at the end of the day. Just won too many drop games when he couldn't have them. And it's
hard to compete with a team that's going undefeated.
Exactly. Like I was saying, it was literally one game too many dropped in this situation. But yeah, no, I'm interested to see what Company can do. I think it'll be interesting to see how they start. I think I'm not really concerned about the first month and a half of the season, but if they get into the second month of the season and they're not in the top 5, I'll be a little concerned. But if it gets to the winter break and then there's a problem, they're below the top 5, then there's okay, hold on, this is a problem. But I'll give them 2 months. I'll give them 2 months before I really see progression, just given the off season, given the summer window, and what it was for players. So yeah, I'm interested to see, but I'm maybe not the highest hopes, but there's no way he screws this up, right? Like he could.
You can't.
Yeah, if he does, it's a one and done.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're mentioning a former player. Like it honestly, it's not that long ago that he was on the pitch as a player. Giving the players the encouragement. Giving his teammates the encouragement of what the gaffer's asking of him. But and I think we're starting to see this more in sports in general. Where it is guys that are maybe a few years off from the game, but are now really good coaches. And I'm saying this spread out across the sport. Obviously, Nuri Sahin, prime example as to, no one's really questioning the hiring because the fact is he's probably very well qualified versus the other options that was available. But, him, Vincent Company, guys that you probably look at them, you're like, they could probably still go out there and run a few drills. In America, obviously everyone knows about Dan Campbell, aka Dan Talica, who literally is doing, up downs with the players in practice. Yeah. So I mean, a guy that honestly could probably play tight end still, is coaching a team, and look at the Detroit Lions. They look very good. They're hoping to be able to repeat what they did last year or have a good follow up from last year. MLB is a little bit different, so I'm not going to try to use that comparison. Yeah. But obviously
there's a hierarchy for the MLB side. You have to work your way up from a batting coach to a manager.
But now that we're seeing more and more statistics and analytics come into play, it's probably only a matter of time till we have our first 20-year-old MIT graduate manager.
Well, we had Sean McVay in the NFL, but I do want to point. I was you mentioned there's young. I mean, there's players that are having a good time. We do see it early in their career, and they come in and they transition early in their coaching career, and they do well. But then you have guys like a Vieira and a Thierry Henry who they do well early on, but then there's that little fade period of their career, right? Because they haven't quite learned to kind of adapt what they did well and what they were taught to what is the new evolutions in the game. And it does take some finessing here. And it's sometimes why coaches can't turn out to be like, was it Van Basten for Barcelona, where he really brought in the tiki-taka, where it was that level of hey, let me take it over and this is going to be our thing going forward, right? And obviously that's transitioned into Pep, and Pep has really stuck with it. But even Pep, you can say there was that time frame in Pep's career. While you won't say he was one of the great players by any means, he was a player. He was a guy for Barcelona that played often. But he had to still find that time to flip that switch, to be able to adjust his talent. So, Xabi Alonso, Company, these guys. My concern maybe isn't the first 3 years of their career. It's that next 4 to 6 years of their coaching career. What do they do there? Can they make those small adjustments? Obviously, Company here. This is really his third year with a team, but his first year with a big team. So we'll see what he can do for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last storyline is obviously how does Xabi Alonso follow up a year that they literally went undefeated, not fully undefeated because obviously Atalanta had other plans in the Euro final, but Bayer Leverkusen now in a Champions League position, going to be in Champions League, obviously. Completely different Champions League format this year. We'll talk about that once the Champions League kicks off, but a different format, but still same thing goes. Same thing still applies. You still have matches between matches, and how do you adjust to that? How you prioritize that? Did you bring any players in to help out with the depth? This is where the real challenge comes into play for Xabi Alonso, and I think this is why he didn't go take another job, because he wanted to see how he can finish out this term with Bayer Leverkusen. And I think we're going to see him with Leverkusen for quite a while. I'm hoping that once Ancelotti hangs it up, that he'll just take over Real Madrid. That's just a wishful thinking on my part.
No. You can go to the team that helped develop him for real.
Or the team that got him a trophy.
He got a trophy in Liverpool.
More trophies.
Fair. Fair. I can't argue with that because nobody was defeating that Real Madrid team.
But even though he didn't play in the final, but yeah, Xabi Alonso, obviously brilliant tactician. I think probably the most agreed upon person that was going to be a coach once he retired from playing, and clearly, look what he did with a team that people forgot about. And so I think this is where the real challenge comes into play, because Bayer Leverkusen, you guys have a target on your backs now. Every team is giving you that Bayern Munich treatment. You're gonna have some elbows thrown your way. They're like, you're not going undefeated this season. And I honestly will tell you, I don't believe Bayer Leverkusen's going undefeated again. This ain't EA Sports FC. It doesn't work that way. Like, that was a once in a lifetime season, and it's great that we got to see it. Also, I just love Atalanta's manager at the final, like just shushing Xabi Alonso. That was just all time moment. I love it. I might get that printed out and have as a poster, because that was just, even though I love Xabi Alonso. I love what Bayer Leverkusen did the past season, but I mean, like, who does not love that moment? Like, this guy had no reason to hate on Bayer Leverkusen, and just says, you know what, fuck you right now.
I love a good trash talk moment with the best of them, and that was one that you can honestly say, have your flowers, sir. You've had this moment. You earned this moment. You can do this. This is acceptable. I was okay with this one.
I might post that pic again. I might post that pic again.
I feel like that one that needs to be somewhere.
Hang that in the Louvre. But yeah, so Bayer Leverkusen, I think all eyes will be on Bayer Leverkusen, because I mean, like I said, perfect season. Not entirely perfect, but as far as the Bundesliga goes, you got the double. You won the Bundesliga, you won the DFB Pokal. Strong year for you. I believe this week is the German Super Cup, which I believe they'll be going.
No, it was just played.
Oh, it's just played.
Yeah. Leverkusen won 6-5, by the way.
Against Stuttgart?
Yep. 6-5.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah. So they're gonna take the season seriously. So I like I said, it's gonna be an amazing follow-up. I think that there's gonna be more target on them. I think competition has definitely risen a little bit in the Bundesliga, which is a good thing. So I mean, Bayern Munich, they circled your guys' day. That match is circled on their calendar. They're gonna say they're not making a big deal out of it, but it's a big deal. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. This is one of those squads that you were hoping they got better in going into the season, where they made some maybe higher profile moves than you would have expected them to do. They really didn't. If anything, they maybe got kind of gutted in some cases. Now, their core is still relatively there, but does that mean they're going to be on top of it all? I don't know. Patrick Schick, obviously, we saw what he did last year, where he was probably one of the most impactful players in the Bundesliga last year at times. Especially, there was like a 5-match run there. He was just almost unstoppable. But will you see that again from him? I don't know. I'm interested to also see how Ariar, the Moroccan player, I mispronounced his name and I apologize, but yeah, I'm interested to see how he continues to grow in himself and grow into the league. Obviously, he's going to get more playing time this year. It's interesting though. I want to see how the tactics are handled from this team when you are the favorite. Because last year, I really think until the last 5 to 6 matches, they were relatively just kind of looked at like, oh, they're going to fall off. Oh, they're going to fall off. That's just what Germany usually does for teams that aren't Dortmund or Bayern, and Bayern Munich, that is. And in this case, it was Bayern Leverkusen. They were just like, oh, well, this is continuing. Oh, wait, can they go all the way undefeated? We don't know. But it'll be interesting to see what they can do with their actual tactics, knowing there's a target on their back, knowing they're going through one of the toughest situations they could probably ever deal with, which is just being everybody has film on you. Everybody knows what's coming. Everybody knows your tactics. Xabi plays a 3-5-2. It's really that 5 in the midfield, if you will, is really 2 wingbacks. And while Frimpong is great, I forget who the other wingback, I think it's in copy, is all. Oh, Grimaldo. Yep, there you go. And still, very talented player. They could have gotten better. That's safe to say. Yeah.
I mean, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And I mean,
and that's just it. Yeah. Did they get better? Not really across the board. The players got older, but they didn't necessarily get better right now. We haven't seen them enough, right? Because they're not the team that traveled to the summer practices. They didn't get that chance to play those 6 games in America or in Spain or in insert country here where they do these world tours at. So nobody really knows what this team's really going to do as soon as they step on the pitch, other than obviously they played the Super Cup. You snuck by Stuttgart 6-5 granted, you did have a red card. So yeah, you successfully won, but that's not hopeful for going into a season. You want to start that Super Cup off with a 5-0 drumming of Stuttgart. While Stuttgart is a good team and an underrated team probably going into this, they are not you. They're not the team that just went undefeated -1 game that doesn't matter for your German playing. That only matters in the European standings. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Can Xavi make the right moves day in and day out again for another season? I don't know. Actually, Xavi Alonso being the guy, not Xavi, Xavi the Barcelona manager, former Barcelona manager now. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I really don't know what to say about him other than I'm hopeful. I am really hopeful, but we've never seen him coach a second year. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's very true. All right. So team to watch this season in the Bundesliga.
I'm gonna say Stuttgart. I mentioned it just now. I think Stuttgart for me is that team that they were maybe a surprise last year. They did get better in the summer window. While they still have a chance to go get gutted here in the next couple of weeks, I don't think they will. So for me, I think Stuttgart is that team to watch. I don't know if they have enough to get over that hump and finish first, but crazier things have happened, and especially with the Bundesliga, you never know if Bayern gets off to a stumble somewhere along the way, Leverkusen doesn't do well, and Stuttgart gets off to a 10-game unbeaten streak. That Bundesliga is a team is a league of runs, so you never know. So with Stuttgart, I'm interested to see what they're able to do for sure.
Yeah, and I mean Stuttgart is a team that if it wasn't for the fact that Bayer Leverkusen went on the run they did, everyone will be talking about how much Stuttgart has improved. I mean, not that it wasn't that long ago. This team was like fighting to stay alive in the Bundesliga. To this team also surpassed Bayern Munich as well last year. So it is one of those things that and I'm sure Stuttgart's like, hey, we had a pretty good year too. We didn't win the Bundesliga, but we had a pretty good year too. So I think that's going to be all eyes on that team. Besides obviously Bayer Leverkusen, I think for me, my team to watch is going to be Borussia Dortmund. They were 1 game away from being Champions League winners. Obviously, fairly close in that game. I think obviously losing 2-0 doesn't look great on paper, but I mean, it was a very competitive game still throughout. Obviously Marco Reus, he's now in La La Land, technically Carson City. Edward will now be watching highlights of LA Galaxy. So clearly it wasn't enough to get him to even try to watch MLS. But I tried, guys. Marco Reus, he tried. So you lose your captain. Hummels, I believe, did come back. Or I think he was trying to come out of retirement.
He is no longer there.
Oh, he's no longer there.
Yep.
Okay. So as far as core leadership, I think that's going to be up in the air. Like who's going to be the next line of leaders for this team? I know they were hoping that they could somehow retain Jadon Sancho. I don't think that happened. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know if he played with Manchester United this week, but
I didn't see him on the field. But then again, I didn't really pay attention to United either that much.
Yeah, I wish Dortmund was able to were able to bring back Jadon Sancho. That would have been a huge addition to them.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of questions, right? Will Gio Reyna be a part of Sahin's system? Sahin being the manager in general. I think Fulkrug left as well. I don't know if I think he went to West Ham or
Yeah,
Aston
he
Villa.
was crap. I literally just watched the game. I believe it's West Ham is where he's at now. Fulkrug.
Yeah, so I mean Sebastian Haller, it's gonna be probably him taking that leadership role, being the more senior player on the team.
Which is
Julian
wild
Brandt,
because he's like 24.
yeah, you got Julian Brandt, still in the mix over there. You still have players, but I think is obviously someone needs to step up, be the leader of this team, and obviously they need to make sure that they stay on the course of developing young players and have players come up and keep Borussia Dortmund afloat. I don't know if they're going to compete for the title this year, because I think that there's a lot of question marks still for Dortmund, but this could be the start of a very solid foundation for another young core players, which obviously Mario Götze, Robert Lewandowski, Marco Rose kind of generation players. Hopefully we can see that again, but only time will tell.
Yeah, Dortmund's a really interesting team. You just never know what they're going to give you. And I said this, I feel like I said this last year when we were talking about can they pull it off in the Champions League. I think last year was a perfect example. Yes, different manager with Terzic, but it was very odd to see them perform in the European stage, but not on the German stage, if you will.
They qualified they qualified for the Champions League all by a technicality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I never know what you're going to get from him, but I do think with Nuri Sahin as the manager, you have an opportunity to succeed there. But opportunities are one thing; what actually happens on the field is another. So it's going to take, I'm a big fan of Sebastian Haller, but he has yet to really take that step that you've been wanting him to take for the last 3 years, really. So I guess you could even say 4 years. So
unfortunately, it wasn't for cancer, but and then I feel like he had to take a step back because of obviously playing for Ivory Coast in the African Cup of Nations, and that was in January. But Fulkrug was also on fire that year. That was, you can't not have him on the field kind of thing. Where the way he was scoring goals last year for Dortmund. But yeah, Dortmund is going to be an interesting team to watch. I'm usually a big fan of their jerseys. I'm not a big fan of their Champions League jersey this year. They're going just too out there for me now. You have a great color scheme, just
stick with it.
Don't go too crazy with it, But you got some things to work with there. But player to watch this season.
Oh man, I want to take a cutesy player this year, but I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to take Jamal Musiala. Musiala. Thank you. I feel like he's if Bayern Munich is going to take that next step into obviously recovering from last year's disappointing third place last year, right? And I think if he's going to take that next step, which again, talk about a player you've been wanting to kind of grow into his own role. Last year, given the 10, didn't really perform to the level of a 10, but he was impactful at times. Can he this year take over the game? Can he be the guy that is, oh no, he has the ball and he has space to run at somebody, or he has space to make that pass, that cutting pass that gets Harry Kane open for one of his 36 goals this year? That's going to be telling for me. So I'm gonna go with Musiala.
Well, that's a pretty good shout. I think it's still a boneheaded decision from Tuchel to pull both Harry Kane and Musiala when you're in a really close game against Real Madrid in the semifinal. Obviously, I'm not mad, but I mean, if you're a Bayern Munich fan, I definitely get why you're mad. But yeah, so like it was just that is definitely something also that's probably bothering. I mean, if you're an athlete, obviously you're supposed to have like short-term memory and all that, but he's like, if I would have just been able to keep playing, he's like, I still had something left in the tank. I could have got a pass in for a goal, kind of thing. I could have made sure De Ligt wasn't offside. kind of thing. But yeah, no, it's just a kind of those what ifs kind of thing. But yeah, Jamal Musiala is a good shot. I'm going to say thank God that Xavi Simons did not go to Bayern Munich. He is actually staying put at RB Leipzig, I believe. I think that's what I saw. At least that's what I recently read. I think he should still be with Leipzig, hopefully.
Yep, he is still with Leipzig.
Yeah, so he's staying with Leipzig, which I think is a great thing for him. I think that this is the year where we're going to see more from him. I think obviously he had a very good Euro. Just got overshadowed by a 17-year-old. But still solid for him. I think he's going to be part of a very bright future of this game now that we're past the Messi Ronaldo era. At least I believe it. I believe it is. Those two love to just pop up out of nowhere.
Hey, just wait till the Messi Jr. and Ronaldo Jr. Era.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that like Messi's kid is not that far off from.
No, neither one of them are. They're both
age.
Yeah, they're both 13 and 14, I think, 13 and 15.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah. I'm too old now.
Jesus Christ, man. We're in a few years we're gonna see Thiago Messi and fucking Ronaldo Jr.
Don't say it. I don't want to think about it. Forget it. Next thing you tell me DeMarcus Beasley's kids are playing soccer professionally.
I think isn't Ronaldinho's kid? I think he has like a trial with some team and he has a trial. Anyways, not a
probably.
I mean, I'm surprised he even knows which one is his kids. I mean, he's got definitely impregnated way too many women.
Barca's U19 last year is where Ronaldinho's son, João Mendes, was at. And they signed him.
Okay, so
yay.
Can't wait to get tortured again. Last thing I want is another Dino fucking torturing me. But yeah. So Xavi Simons is my player to watch. All right, Kelcey, favorite to win it.
Again, I want to go cutesy. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to say Stuttgart. I think my team to watch is the team to win it. I think I have questions about Xabi Alonso's ability to handle the pressure of being number one. And I don't think Vincent Kompany's Bayern is ready for Vincent Kompany. And I know that sounds silly, but we talked about it early on in the show where you come into a team and they have a different play style and you're trying to instill your play style with players that don't necessarily adapt to that well. And I think Vincent Kompany, again, is coming in with a Anderlecht developed Pep Guardiola finished stylings to his gameplay. So it's a lot of quick passing efficiency, not a lot of, dancing on the ball type of styles, and very technical. You look at that roster with Bayern, you think there's potential to stumble. Obviously, their defense will be good. I'm not concerned about that, but my big concerns are in that midfield. Right, that's the connector for that team, that heart and soul connection. As I mentioned, Musiala is my player to watch. So if he doesn't perform, Harry Kane doesn't get an opportunity to score 35 goals, 36 goals. So that's where I'm at with this. I'm going to say Stuttgart maybe surprises some folks, but if you watched them last year, you maybe understand why I'm saying this. I think they are solid enough as a team to handle any ups and downs throughout the season and stay on course and stay consistent throughout the season. So I'm going to say Stuttgart.
Yeah, because I mean, and I wonder when we're gonna have that Vincent Kompany just starts yelling at everybody. Because he's done.
It's coming. That press conference is coming. It is. And like the first, I'm gonna say it's within the first 2 months.
He did do it in Anderlecht. I'm just gonna point that out. He did. He also had a yell. There's a video of him yelling at everybody in the locker room at halftime. So yeah, he's known for.
He's a defender. He's a hothead. He was a hothead on the field. You loved him or you hated him. If you didn't like Man City, you didn't like Vincent Kompany. And it wasn't until I got to watch him sit on the bench and sit in the stands that I actually started to like Vincent Kompany. And he played there 285 games, so way too long for a Man City player, because he was that old Man City era. So yeah, no surprise if Vincent Kompany goes off on somebody especially during a German press conference where they are known to ask very pointed questions of the managers of teams.
I think that's Stuttgart is a very interesting shout. I believe they're the ones that actually lost Ito, so that's a pretty important player to lose, especially in that back line. But I mean, this is definitely a very unique season. Like the Bayer Leverkusen, do we see a sophomore slump? I kind of do see a slump, but that's just because like you can't go anywhere else but down when you have an undefeated season. So it's just common sense tells you that. Borussia Dortmund, I think, still will have their question marks as well. You said it right about Bayern Munich. There's question marks there. Stuttgart looks like a very solid pick because of there's still some sturdiness. Yeah, you lose a pivotal piece in the back line, but I mean that was also a solid combination of just pure team effort from that Stuttgart team. But I'm gonna go a little bit differently. I'm gonna go with RB Leipzig. I think, I think it was important that they kept Xavi Simons there. I think he's going to be very pivotal in the attack in the midfield. I mean, Leipzig, it's the Red Bull system, right? They get guys from Salzburg. Sometimes they don't get those guys from Salzburg. They go to Borussia Dortmund for some weird reason. But I think having those options, and obviously, Red Bull just got their hands on Leeds United, which those jerseys look like shit. I'm sorry.
No comment. You're not wrong, but no comment.
The color scheme of Leeds mixed in with the color scheme of Red Bull. It kind of how you're complaining, like you're not liking the Chelsea with the orange. I'm not liking the red and the darker shade of yellow from the Red Bull.
Yeah, like you got to make the yellow the same color. That's my whole thing. Like, just match the logos, match the colors between the two, please.
It's a rough look. It's one of those times you kind of just like make it a monochromatic Red Bull logo.
Yeah. Black and white.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think this could be one of those, like you said, this could be one of those years where one team could just take full advantage of the question marks that it's going to come from. And I mean, the fewest question marks is from Bayer Leverkusen. But like I said, like you and me both said, we both feel there's a slump coming. And that and also they didn't necessarily get better. And I think that's a fair question. Honestly, I feel like that's the same thing we're saying throughout the leagues, though. I don't think I mean, yes, Real Madrid got Mbappe, but did that make them any better? I mean, they literally drew 1-1 against Mallorca today, which is actually kind of on point for Real Madrid, to be honest. But it's kind of on brand for them. But like, there's not many teams where I'm like, whoa, they won the summer. I don't think I had that this year.
There wasn't really though.
AC Milan got Morata, but okay, is that
nobody
cool?
Nobody really got that home run this year. Obviously, yes, everybody can say Mbappe is that home run, but like everybody really, like all the big players. This wasn't a summer window where you were excited for any big transfer move that wasn't Mbappe. Maybe Alphonso Davies could have moved, being a big name, but he stays for now. Obviously, probably as soon as this goes live, Alphonso Davies will then be moved somewhere. Just knowing the way it goes. But yeah, I don't feel like anybody really impactful other than Mbappe.
I'll retract my statement because I will say Atletico Madrid.
That's fair. Yeah,
did do very okay. If anybody won the summer transfer window, it's Atletico Madrid. You add Julian Alvarez and you add Conor Gallagher. So I think two solid additions.
I don't think if there's anybody else though. There really isn't. Like maybe I'm missing one, but yeah, there
really
are they
going to win La Liga?
It's a question, right? They maybe have the best goalkeeper right now.
Because what happens with João Felix? Like, does he stay? If he stays, I would say that's a good. Maybe Julian Alvarez can help mesh in, João Felix. Even though there's probably still very.
I feel like
awkward.
João Felix is at that point in his timeline where it's maybe too long. Yeah, I think it's too long in the teeth for him at Atletico at this point in time. I think he has to move on just to have a chance to be successful.
I mean, I don't know how he answers to the whole celebrating scoring on them.
I think that was enough to tell you his thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's probably a fair point. But yeah, so but still, besides Atletico Madrid, I don't think I haven't been like, wow, what a summer.
I feel like I've celebrated people getting rid of players more than anything than actually getting players.
I really think that's the case.
It's wild.
Thank God Chelsea got rid of Gallagher.
Yeah. Man.
Oh man, this is rough. But all right, so that is the so you have your favorite is Stuttgart. My favorite is RB Leipzig.
And just one correction to earlier what I said with the Super Cup. It did finish 6-5, but it was the total aggregation of score between penalties and the game. The game finished 2-2, and then it was 4-3 in penalties to Leverkusen.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
What a final. Boy.
It's a Super Cup. Oh boy.
Hey man, apparently people got defensive when I talk shit about the Spanish Super Cup. So
I will keep talking about Super Cups. I have no problem with it.
Enough, I agree. But yeah, so that is the Bundesliga preview. This weekend kicks it off. So yeah, I'm excited. Kelcey, thank you so much for coming on. This is your time to tell people what's going on with High Low Sports and Belly Up if there's anything going on there.
Yeah, so Belly Up, we have, well, you will have missed it already when this goes live, but on Monday we have our college football super show kickoff. That was August 19th. So super cool. A lot of great guys got together and had a great conversation. But High Low Sports, we go live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and that's on YouTube, Facebook. We don't go live on Twitter anymore because Elon Musk sucks. But we will go live. Our audio only episodes will go live 7 a.m. Eastern time the next day. And you can check us out at High Low Sports on every social media, except for Twitter, because again, Elon Musk sucks and we have to change it. And it's at high_low_sports. And yeah, you can check us out, enjoy the fun content we put out. We're in the middle of our prediction season. So we just did the South and the North divisions. Now this week, I believe we're doing the East, which for me is so much fun to talk about. So yeah, that's where you can check us out.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelcey. Always great to have you on.
Oh man, always glad to be here.
And we're back. Thank you so much, Kelcey, for coming on to talk. It's always great to have Kelcey Coyne come in and talk football. Obviously, he loves it whenever he gets a chance. Been on the show for a very long time. So it's always great to have Kelcey Coyne to discuss footy with us. But yeah, Players of the Week. Players of the Week is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an amazing one-stop shop for all things ticketing needs when it comes to sports, live events, and yeah, basically that SeatGeek was a tremendous resource for me and Edward when we went to go see Inter Miami take on Tigres. Great seats. We also got parking, which came in pretty clutch, especially if you guys know how parking at a stadium can be. We got a pretty good deal at a very convenient location. So if you guys are looking to find some great tickets, their algorithm is very simple. Their system of how you're getting your best deal, it's pretty simple. It's a color system. Green means it's a great deal. Go ahead and buy it. If it is red, that means, well, look for some other options. You'll find some better seats. So great deals, low prices. If you guys want an even better deal for your first time use, if you use the code BellyUpSports, it'll save yourself $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. SeatGeek.com. Make sure you guys check it in. Life's an event. We have the tickets. All right. So our Players of the Week, Edwards Player of the Week is Robert Lewandowski. Shocker. He scored 2 goals in Barcelona's 2-1 win against Valencia. So the benefits of Hansi Flick's return is looking to be quite beneficial for Robert Lewandowski. So we'll see how he does in this second half of the year 2024 to help him for the Roosevelt Spencer Player of the Year award. Remember, 2-time Roosevelt Spencer Player of the Year award, Robert Lewandowski. And my Player of the Week is Kai Havertz. He scored a goal and an assist in Arsenal's 2-0 victory against Wolves. So congratulations to Robert Lewandowski and Kai Havertz for being our players of the week. If you guys, on our all social media platforms, there is going to be a link on the post. That post will take you directly to a Google form, a Google document, where you can vote for all the players of the week that we have announced so far in this year. So you guys are able to give an additional vote to these players to help improve their odds on winning the 2024 Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year award, which we always announce at our end of the year episode. So make sure you guys check out the post, click on that link, and go ahead and give your favorite player an extra shot at winning the Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year award. But congratulations to Robert Lewandowski and Kai Havertz for being our players of the week, guys. Make sure you guys use that code BellyUpSports at SeatGeek. Save yourself $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. Games to watch, guys. We have some games. Liga MX and MLS is back. We got Tijuana taking on Monterrey. The Houston Dynamo taking on Toronto FC. Obviously, guys, I'm biased. Inter Miami versus FC Cincinnati, and Tigres versus Chivas de Guadalajara going on this weekend as well. In Ligue 1, we got PSG versus Montpellier, and Strasbourg versus Stade Rennes coming off of a huge win against Olympique Lyon. Can they keep that form going in Ligue 1? In the Bundesliga, we got Borussia Mönchengladbach looking to take on Bayer Leverkusen as they're trying to start their second campaign under Xabi Alonso to see if they can go for a repeat and try to have another historical season in the Bundesliga. We got VfL Wolfsburg taking on Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, new coach. Is that going to be impactful for them? Can Vincent Kompany be the guy to put Bayern Munich back on top of the Bundesliga? We'll find out this weekend. In the Serie A, we got Fiorentina versus Venezia. The return of Venezia. Obviously, you got Drizzy Drake, BBL Drizzy, as some people may say, saving this team out of bankruptcy. Can they make well on the investment that Drizzy made and taking on Fiorentina, which is a team that I did highlight last episode? Can they live up to the hype that I put? Because this could also look very bad for me. We got Udinese taking on Lazio as well. Alexis Sanchez is now back with Udinese, so let's see how they do against Lazio in the Serie A. In La Liga, we got Atletico Madrid taking on Girona, which obviously Girona finished second or third place, somewhere around there last season. Obviously, can they continue their form from an amazing year last year and see how they do? Barcelona, coming off of a win against Valencia, will be taking on Athletic Club Bilbao. There is some connection there with that because obviously the rumors were that Nico Williams was set to go to Barcelona. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen, but we don't know yet. Transfer window is still very much open, but Nico Williams is definitely the storyline to keep an eye on in that matchup to see whether or not he will be going to Barcelona. And in the English Premier League, we got Aston Villa taking on Arsenal. Obviously, Unai Emery is the manager of Aston Villa. Arsenal was the team that crushed his spirit, but now he is back in the Premier League, actually for a while now, but has taken this Aston Villa team. It has taken charge of this Aston Villa team and has done wonders for this Aston Villa team. Can Arsenal can repeat of what they did against Wolves in a 2-0 victory? We'll see how they respond to it. Obviously, not necessarily the strongest of 2-0 performances, but still, can they put up a good show against Aston Villa? And we have Brighton taking on Manchester United. Also a really good matchup. I'm really intrigued by that. Also featuring a very exciting young coach in Brighton who is also from Houston, Texas, even though he's German. So we'll see how that goes over there in the Premier League. But those are the games to look forward to this weekend. The key big games, in our opinion, obviously there's a ton of soccer being played this weekend. As long as you're watching the game, that's all that matters. But if you're still new to the game, well, there's your beginner's guide. Hopefully that fares well for you guys. But we're going to go ahead and take one more break, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this show up.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports. SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys, that is episode 183. I want to give a big shout out to Kelcey Corn for coming on and talking football for this first episode of the season. Always great to have him on. Obviously, go ahead and check out High Low Sports. Wherever you get your podcast fix, they do a lot of coverage on all sports, mainly in America. So NBA, MLB, NFL's kicking off. College football is also starting this weekend as well. So be on the lookout for what's going on in High Low Sports. So go ahead and check them out, man. Give a shout out to the Belly Up Podcast Network, man. Check out their website, BellyUpSports.com. Lots of articles constantly being written. Busy week in the week is coming. Obviously, college football is coming back. NFL is right around the corner. MLB kind of going into that last stretch of the season. That lots of things to be talked about. Obviously, football. Mauricio Pochettino, at least for USA Soccer, is definitely a good talking point as well. So if you guys want to see what is being written on over at Belly Up Sports, check out BellyUpSports.com and read up on some articles, some great articles written by some great writers over there by Belly Up. Also follow Belly Up Sports on their Instagram and X at Belly Up Media and at Belly Up Sports, so you're in the know of everything that's going on here at Belly Up. Also, shout out to GolzTV. Check their website, GolzTV. Once again, GolzTV. If you guys want to know what's going on in the Americans' perspective of football, like I said, there is some podcasts, some shows that are outside the U.S. markets, but it's still great to see the content that's been growing over there at Goals. So really excited. You'll catch me there on some of their original program, like Yanks of the Round Table and Wake Up MLS. So be on the lookout. Follow them on Instagram at GolzTV. Once again, at GolzTV. And on the X at GolZ_TV. That's GolZ_TV. Check out GolzTV. Great partnership that we have over there with Jose Tellez. Shout out to our producer, our beat maker. So if you guys have heard our intros and outros for this podcast, it is all done by the one, the only Roosevelt Spencer, the namesake of the Roosevelt Spencer Player of the Year Award. He works very hard for us here in this podcast, and we always try to show our appreciation to him. That's why we named the award after him. So check him out on Instagram at ThatGuyDope. If you guys need some beat work done, go ahead and hit him up. He'll take great care of you like he always does with us. But that's all I got, man. Thank you so much for listening. Catch us next week for episode 184. Take care, guys.